the Warewulf community, as one of the communities that CIQ supports, we had our very first official Birds of a Feather. Yoo!
Or BoF, as it were.
BoF.
The BoF. Yes, exactly. So it was wonderful. As the Warewulf community manager, I was involved in setting that up. And so I'm very proud of the work that everyone was doing and the involvement that I got to have and, behind the scenes, getting it going and organizing all of that. And we got there and it was wonderful. It was Tuesday afternoon. We walk in, we're prepared, we're ready. Jonathon's got slides. We have one of our customers and also a user of of Warewulf come in and be able to talk about their cluster and how they're using Warewulf and some of the struggles that they've had. It was really, really cool. I think there's probably about 30 people in attendance, would you say?
Oh, that 30, 40. That was on the upper end, I think.
I worry about just estimating it up, but it was a good crowd. I was glad for how many people showed up, certainly for a first ever official one of these.
Yes.
A testament, Rose, to your good work getting the word out and letting people know that it was going to happen, because I found the BoF schedule for PEARC difficult to find, and maybe it's just because of my resistance to downloading their app and having it on my phone. I did realize that once I had done that, it was much easier to navigate the conference. But until then, I was I kept having to spend 10 minutes each time I needed to look up where our BoF was going to be and what time it was going to be at.
Yeah, I eventually just took a screenshot. Tim was also helpful. Tim was very helpful. I was like,
yes,
oh, no, it's
absolutely.
not up yet. And he's like, yes, it was.
This is Tim Middlecoop, who works at Internet 2, but is also involved in administering the PEARC conference, and then is a member of the Warewulf Technical Steering Committee now. So we're very grateful to have his help in general, but also navigating the conference, of course.
Agreed. So, Jonathon, you were really kind of the main person giving the overview of Warewulf and what Warewulf is and some of the new features. So, what was that experience like for you being in person? Because I know we're fully remote company, so a lot of what we do is just on little cameras like this. So, what was it like for you being in person and seeing people and being able to present all the work that you've been involved with?
So it's not the first time I've talked about Warewulf in person, of course. Like, we've given presentations about it on the more like submitting a paper or a topic or something like that. There's a conference at the university near here, University of Colorado Boulder. They have a symposium called RMAC that we've done a few Warewulf presentations at. But it was just great to have a room full of people that were specifically there because they were interested in and use Warewulf, and to see not just how it has benefited them and how it has made their lives easier, but also to hear the feedback and that everyone had stuff that they were interested in discussing, like for the next steps or future of Warewulf. And I was glad to see just how cohesive it was, and none of it was like a bbig out of left field surprise. It was all like, the stuff we hear. We want some HA, stateful provisioning, which we can do, and IPv6 support. Like that was the common refrain, all of which are things that we're actively working on. So it's good to have a touch point with the community, and it's always nice to have that reassurance that we're headed in a direction that's going to continue to be useful to people.
I was actually fascinated to see that one institution was IPv6 only.
Yes.
And that was fascinating to me because I remember, year 2001, I think the U.S. government said they were going to be completely moved over to IPv6, and still hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, so like NSF at least is pushing the issue a bit. At least the last guidance I saw, as of maybe next year, they won't grant like computer network infrastructure that doesn't at least support IPv6. And so that's what's driving a lot of the demand, is if they want to use Warewulf, they want to be able to tick a box and say that Warewulf supports IPv6. So glad to have that in process for sure.
Do you have a timeline on that?
I can have it. I don't know what it is. And it's also a fuzzy thing, right? Because the institution can still write their grant proposal and say, our cluster supports IPv6 because you can get into it through IPv6, and who cares what it does internally. But other people read the requirement differently and feel those requirements differently within their institution. So it's still a fuzzy thing, but it's more and more of a real thing all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know another one of Ian spoke a little bit about Ubuntu support. How do you think that was received?
So as he called out during the presentation, there was one other person,
Nice.
one other people in the room who was running Werewolf that was in the room with an Ubuntu environment. It's relatively uncommon in an HPC environment, but more and more all the time as AI and ML workloads are repatriated back to on-prem environments.
Mm-hmm.
The AI ML kind of user community has been using Ubuntu and Debian ecosystem for since the beginning, and so it makes sense that you would see more of that in an HPC context as that comes back on prem. And Ian's using it at his site, and so I'm really grateful to his effort getting the compute images working for sure, and the overlays required to do it. All of that is basically there. It's just about building the packages for it so you can install the server on Ubuntu now. And the people that care seem to be glad that it was happening, but there weren't that many of them, at least in the room.
At least in the room, yeah. That is actually going to be fun. I don't know what kind of help or support he needs around that, but it's on my radar to be asking people if they are using Ubuntu and if they're using Werewolf on that.
Nice.
Yeah, that's exciting. So, Chris, what was your take? I mean, how many BoFs have you been to in your life, would you say?
Jesus. Wow. That I've been to a lot.
So this is not an unfamiliar term to you. I sometimes
no, like it was very familiar to me, and I was having to explain it to folks a couple times because the word BoF was thrown out, like like any acronym. A lot of folks were like,
"What?
Did I hear that right? What does that mean?" That kind of thing. But yeah, like having a BoF is where I think the community aspect, the commercial aspect, the research aspects kind of all came together in terms of like, yes, we have folks running it on Rocky. We have folks running it on Ubuntu. We have folks in IPv6 only environments. Like none of that would have been known without the BoF, right? Like that's kind of amazing. So good job on organizing and making it happen for sure.
Yeah, thank you. We had some help, some suggestions. When you submit for a BoF, there is a team of people that either accept or do not accept, and they give you suggestions on, okay, like this is the outline that you gave, and we recommend that you focus a little more on this and a little less on that, and kind of do it in this way. And so we, you can take the suggestions or not. I guess no one's really looking.
They were in the room policing. You were not following our instructions.
I did see that one guy in the corner pointing his finger. So, it was, to me, I think that it went well. I would personally like a little bit more interaction with the people, maybe sooner, if I was going to be kind of, nitpicky. I know that we had a cool little scan, QR code where they could go in and answer some questions and maybe look at that maybe sooner, right? So we can kind of get a gauge of, who the people are in the room at that time, and then kind of maybe adjust what we were talking about to that. I think the way that we did it this particular time was kind of perfect just because there was so much to go over, right? Like version 4.6.2 was pretty awesome, right? Like all the newer things, and those were a lot of what people, just like you said, have been asking for.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in 4.6. Lots of new stuff that people have been asking for a long time.
Exactly. So I don't think we could have done it better, other than maybe get a little bit more of a feel. Do you have
I was really glad that I just happened to get pulled into the OpenHPC BoF before this one, because it wasn't until then, and Chris got up there and gave his intro spiel on what OpenHPC is, that I realized, wait a minute, nowhere in my plan for the Werewolf BoF do I actually tell anyone what it is. Because we submitted it as what's new in Werewolf 4.6, because there's so much to talk about. And just, with my engineering brain, I'm like, this is the purpose, therefore we will fulfill the purpose. We'll assume that the audience is full of werewolf experts that have been waiting with bated breath for the new stuff that's coming out in 4.6, and we're going to tell them about it. Like, wait a minute. That
There's
we
a
had this
whole
survey.
world.
Yeah. We had this survey of one of the questions on it was like, how much have you used Warewulf? And there's like, not at all in development and in production were the options that were on there. And there were, at least 2 or 3 people in this set that had never used it before. And part of my brain is like blown that such a person would come to a what's new in Werewolf 4.6 BoF. But
Fair.
it just made me realize like the BoF shouldn't be that. The BoF should be like the werewolf community BoF, and then one of the topics is what's new, and we just need to make sure in the future that we're more explicitly welcoming to people into the community that are just interested. They've heard of werewolf, they want to learn about it, and we added something like that right at the beginning and did a brief overview at the beginning, but just to be more purposeful about that next time. And I'm totally with you about having more audience interaction. There's lots of software to support that. We didn't have access to, we just used like Zoom's survey software, which is fine, but it's not as interactive. So maybe if we do another one of these, we'll iterate and have just a little bit more back and forth.
Yeah. Agreed. What about you, Chris? Did you have any thoughts or suggestions around that?
I mean, so I was sitting in the front of the room, so I had to kind of look over my shoulder to see everything. And I think, we did a pretty good job of letting folks know that it was happening, like on social media and so forth, so on, that we got those new people. But for me coming in, like, I don't have a lot of exposure to Warewulf, right? Like I said, I was new to the HPC space before this event, and I'm still pretty new now. But the interesting thing to me was just the commonality between all these people, and how Warewulf has helped them do their work in ways I don't think any of us really think of on a regular basis, right? Like, we're so involved in the product and the feature development and everything else that's around the project that we don't often see the new folks showing up and learning, because we're so busy trying to keep the folks that have been using it for so long happy, and it driving new features. So yeah, having that baseline, this is what it is, this is the problems it solves, this is what it can help your institution with, I think would be very beneficial in the future. Otherwise, I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome to have George Washington University there. Great to have, was it Ian that was also there from?
Yeah, so
Ian was
Kaufman from SCSC.
Yeah, that was great. Just hearing all these people talk about it and describing the things they do with it was fascinating to me.
Yeah, agreed. Well done, you guys. And I am excited to continue to iterate on that and get Werewolf out into the world. And thanks, Chris. That was really inspirational, just kind of taking a step back and going, oh yeah, well, what is this allowing you to do? As you provision your cluster, now that you've got your OS up and working and you've got your applications, now what?
Right.
It's working. Now you got to do all the things. What do you want to do? Anything that you want to do. So yeah, that's one of the things that we talk about often-ish at CIQ, maybe not often enough, but every now and then it comes up, like the why, why do we do all the things that we do here? And it's really to enable, all of these researchers and companies and universities to do the cool, good work that they're doing.
Yep. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Appreciate that. Cool. Okay. Well, I think that is probably it. Is there anything else that you want to say about the community? Oh, that was one other thing. I think maybe we should have had a little bit more. I mean, maybe we did, but I don't remember talking about the Slack channel, like literally like how to get involved with Werewolf.
Oh yeah.
I had a slide at the end of the presentation, specifically like join us on Slack. Here's a QR code that is the join link. And then we just stopped, like we just left the slide up that was the discussion. and we just kept talking. So I needed to have combined those so that they would be up on the screen the whole time too, because we just never went to that last slide.
Oh man,
That's
missed
hilarious.
opportunity.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
I thought we missed that part. I was like, wait, I
Yeah.
don't think we like, hey, let's keep in contact.
You're absolutely right. I was thinking about that the whole rest of the day at the table afterwards.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Whoops.
that's funny. Yeah. Well, again, thank you to the PEARC conference for allowing us and accepting the Warewulf BoF. I mean, we were kind of nervous a little bit because not everyone gets accepted. So I thank you for accepting us and for being good hosts. And we were so excited to be there. And thank you everyone for who came and joined. And if you want to come join the Warewulf community, we are on Slack, and you can actually easily get to that Slack. I know we'll probably put like a code somewhere for you, but warewulf.org is where you can get like all of the docs, the information, and of course the link to the to join us on Slack. Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We are so excited that you were here. And if you need any training support, you want to talk more about Warewulf Pro that includes the UI, contact ciq.com on our website. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, guys. That was wonderful. Yeah. Have a great day.
Thanks, Rose.